What is going on? Two of you, YouTube. What is going on? It's your boy Tashawn here, and I'm here to talk about where I got my HRT from, my testosterone prescription, and everything. I was actually making a good video with my camera, but my I can't find like a really good video editor. If you guys can like let me know about a decent video editor. Um, this is gonna be a two-part video only because I'm at work and life sucks. Um, yeah, so I want to bring to the forefront where I actually got my testosterone from. Um, like I said, I'm from New Jersey. I grew up identifying myself as bisexual, then identifying myself as a lesbian, then identifying myself as trans about 2.5 years ago. So I basically moved up in the ranks. So being from New Jersey and growing up around where I grew up at, there wasn't any transgender people. There was one, but like we weren't close. And at that point in time, I just thought that I guess that they were just gay and they liked to dress as girls because I wasn't really educated on being trans. It wasn't until I got big into Instagram that I started seeing more and more transgender men and how I identified with them. So when I was in New Jersey, I heard of a place called the Manzoni Center. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to start my testosterone with them only because I was moving to South Carolina. About time I actually found out, about doing hormone therapy and everything like that. So I had moved to Atlanta first, and I thought that it was going to be a really big help in my transition, but it actually made it more dormant, I guess you can say. So I actually didn't enjoy living in Atlanta, and I was in a really bad depression. I couldn't transition the way I wanted to. I reached out to a lot of guys on Instagram, and they were recommending me to certain places, but I couldn't find a job at the time. And without a job, I couldn't afford my prescriptions. I couldn't afford going to see a counselor. So I was just, I was kind of stuck in a rut. Eventually, my mom had moved to South Carolina before I had moved to Atlanta, and she was in South Carolina at the time. So I mean, she's in South Carolina still, but so I ended up moving in with her to try to see if maybe things will change for me somewhere else. Maybe Atlanta just isn't for me. Maybe in the future, but not right now. So more or less, I ended up moving in with my mom to South Carolina, and immediately, with the help of Black Trans TV, uh, pointing me in the right direction with different places to get hormone therapy. Um, Shout out to you guys. You guys are a really big part of our movement, and I'm glad that you guys are here to help direct us into the right direction and to help us out when sometimes we don't have uh, anybody physically around that we can reference ourselves to, especially being of color. I'm Black and Native American and Caucasian, so it's being in the South and being trans on top of that. You know, it's bad. Like you increase your chances of violence. You increase your chances of being hurt, and depending on certain areas where you live, it's not easy. But to see, two guys dedicate themselves to us, and, they don't even know half of us personally, but they don't need to, for them to be able to stick their head out there for us and to represent us as a community, that's great. Hopefully one day I can do that as well. But another guy from Instagram had recommended me to. I couldn't like I said, I couldn't find a job right away because the first place that I had applied to basically denied me and discriminated against me because I was transgender. I was a certified nurse assistant for over 5 years in New Jersey, and I've never had a problem with the remaining years that I was there and I was identifying as trans. Um, I still had facial hair and everything. Like I just started testosterone. This is this right here is actually growing in thicker, but it was a little bit thinner. But I have PCOS, so I was able to actually grow facial hair in to help with my dysphoria, which is great. Um, but I never had a problem living in New Jersey with identifying as trans, especially with employment. Even though, you know, there wasn't a lot of us around, and I've never actually met one until, I went and got my hormone therapy recently. So, more or less, um, yeah, so I reached out to, well, somebody reached out to me on Instagram and they sent me a whole bunch of different applications and different stuff like that that, didn't discriminate against sexuality and orientation and, dysphoria and gender and all that stuff. So actually, if it wasn't for Black Trans TV and Evil Genius 1717 on Instagram, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't really be where I'm at today. And I really, extend my appreciation to you guys. Definitely, thank you so much. But so yeah, I ended up getting a job within like a week of actually moving to South Carolina. And not only that, I was able to find the Augusta Quality Clinic. Now, it's a free clinic. Um, when I say free, I mean you don't need informed consent, so you don't have to go to a psychiatrist. They pay for your lab work to get done so they can monitor your testosterone levels pre-T and, as you're acquiring T. They, they foot the bill for everything besides your prescription and your syringes. So the only thing you're expected to pay for is how to get there and your transportation back and forth and your prescriptions. Now, the Equality Clinic is in Augusta, which is in Georgia, not in South Carolina, because I know North Augusta is in South Carolina. It's kind of like split. Um, I got there. I had the whole day. Well, let me back up. When I had scheduled the appointment, because excuse me, because it is a free clinic, it it's very hard to get into. Well, walk-ins are welcome, but there's no guaranteed chance. Like if you were a local there and you walked in, maybe it's not a hurt piece to you. It's not crucial. But if you're not from there and you come hours away as a walk-in, you're not guaranteed that they're going to have a spot for you. They're going to try to accommodate you as much as possible, but in all actuality, you know, believe it or not, there is a lot of us, especially down south, that aren't out and are slowly coming out because of people like Blanche Trans TV and clinics and stuff like that. They're giving us safe spaces. So there is a decent amount of us around. So think about it. If this is a free clinic that's helping you transition, people are going to be on it like white on rice. So my best advice to you is I'll put the email in the description below. But the way I scheduled an appointment with them is through email. I scheduled it back in the beginning of July and no, I'm sorry, it like towards the end of June, maybe the beginning of July. And I don't remember the exact date, but I wasn't able to get an appointment until the 8th of August. So they were pretty packed. So they sent me the information. They told me what to bring. I literally had to bring just my ID. I didn't even show them my ID. I only showed my ID for the lab work. Um, when you, depending on how far you're coming from, like I said, they're going to try to make it accommodating and convenient for you as much as possible. I came from like 2 hours and a half away, so they were able to schedule my lab work the day of my clinic appointment. Uh, but you have to be there. You have to get your lab works done before noon, so they'll be able to send it to the clinic so they can have your test results there. So when you go to the clinic appointment, they can go over that with you, because you need to have lab work done prior to having your testosterone. Meaning, and reasons why is that they have to monitor how much testosterone is in your body, and they have to make sure that it's safe for you to even start. There is some people out there that have different blood disorders and diseases that if not taken care of properly and not monitored properly with testosterone, can be a fatal thing. So please, anywhere you go, whether you go to a clinic or, if you pay for your whatever, please make sure you get your lab works done and make sure you're on top of your lab works throughout your transition. They won't be as frequent as, time goes on. And it might be, I have a really big thing about lab work. The last time I got it done for my hormone therapy, which was the first time I got it done for my hormone therapy, I actually passed out. So it sucks, but that's part of life. This is part of the transition. You need that done in order to be healthy and to be safe and to do what you need to do. Plus, monitoring with your lab work helps to determine how much testosterone you need to progress in the transition. So if you don't do your lab work, you can not be getting as much testosterone as you possibly could be getting, or you're getting too much and too rapidly, too quick. So yeah, so the same day I got scheduled my lab work, I went to get my lab work done. I had to be there before 12. My appointment with the actual clinic wasn't until about 5 o'clock, 5:30. So I had to spend the whole day in Augusta kind of just roaming around or whatever. If you're a little bit closer, they'll schedule your lab work a week prior to your clinic date. But because I was so far, it was convenient for me just to do it the same day. So I got there around 10:30, 11 o'clock, went in, sat down, gave them my ID. Legally, they have to call you by your legal name only because, common sense, they're dealing with pathogens, blood-borne, pathogens, stuff like that could possibly happen. They're dealing with blood. They have to, that's legally, they have to call you by your legal name. Now, if you legally have your name changed to what you identify as, then good for you, but I don't. So they had to call me Tasha, which is fine. I mean, like I said, I'm not big on, pronouns and stuff like that. Not yet, at least. So yeah, so more or less, I gave him my ID, filled out a couple things of paperwork, and like 15 minutes later, I went, sat down, got my blood work done, passed out. A student was actually doing it, and I guess I kind of gave her a scare. I'm so sorry. But so yeah, I got my blood work done, went, had some juice, some crackers, and was good to go. There is free parking for the lab work, and there's also free parking for the clinic. They will send you directions to get to the lab place, and they will tell you, where to park. Do not park outside. Park in the parking garage, because there is literally no parking outside. So just park in a parking garage. You're going to take the elevator or wherever that you're parked at, go through the back entrance. You're literally going to walk to the elevator, go up the elevator, make a quick right. It's the first door on your left, which is the lab place. If you're at the building with Subway in front of it, where there's like a walking overhang, you're at the right place. But yeah, and the clinic is literally right down the street. So I spent my day in Augusta roaming around, getting ready for the appointment. And I've done like I usually do a lot of research with things like this, like that I'm unsure of. And there was literally no place up to date on the Augusta Quality Clinic. So, I mean, I went through everywhere. I went through YouTube, I went through Instagram, I went through Facebook, I went through everywhere, Google, and I just couldn't really find, like, I found a couple of people and a couple of things on it, their website and stuff like that, but I really could not find any, like, information about things that I needed to know about. Mainly where exactly the building is. That's one. Two, what do they do in the appointment? Three, how much is the testosterone going to be? All them things I will discuss in the next video. I actually have to switch to another building. As soon as I get to that other building, I will continue this video. Please stay tuned if you want to hear more about a free clinic and how to get your HRT, with hormone replacement therapy. And it's not only for trans men, it's also for trans women as well. So if you want to hear about this, please stay tuned. Peace. Oh yeah, like and subscribe.